Okay, so the final step, I suppose, in all of this is figuring out what will you use this for? I mean, this is very nice. It's been a really good time with your colleagues. They've helped you come up with and they've worked with you on changes that need to happen, and actions that need to happen. So there's a few things that need to happen so that it goes beyond this, beyond just this workshop or this time together. The first thing is to write a narrative that explains this diagram. So the best way I've found of doing this is you get someone who's a very visual learner like I am, who understands the sequences of changes, the sequences of actions affecting those changes, and you get those people really just to present that information to a person who's sitting next to a laptop or even having a notebook, and they write down or they type in what the person's saying. So for example, the first change we want to have is enacted policy is be specific as possible. To do that we need to have the policy written and policymakers engaged in the topic and so on. And then you say the different actions, or we need to then of course maybe assist with the writing of the policy or discuss with the members of parliament about the policy and so on. So when that person's talking, the other person's writing. What you'll come up with in the end is not just a diagram, but you'll have a narrative explaining it. So it means that someone after this workshop can pick up the narrative, read the narrative, look at the diagram and understand it more fully. It's a really good way of communicating beyond the workshop, because we want to make sure this knowledge goes beyond the workshop. Now, for monitoring and evaluation purposes, there is also an important thing to do beyond this workshop. The reason why it's in this format, a shower screen or a plastic screen with this, is you can take it back to your office, stick it on your wall, and you can have times of reflection every month, every 2 months, where your team or other people come by and they look at what you've set up and they discuss it with you. And that's a really important way of reflecting, a way of learning, a way of adjusting. The important thing though is that every time you adjust your model of change, so you take a change out or you take an action out, you document it. You either document by taking a photograph or adjusting a diagram if you put it into a Excel spreadsheet or something, and adjusting, and also on your narrative explaining why that has changed as well. So it's a really good way of following change, I believe. The final thing I would say though, that if you're really interested in monitoring, evaluation, learning, is that for advocacy, often there's tools around many of these streams. As I said in step 2, around your actions, you find often these changes are around policy change, around coalitions, around behaviour change and attitudes and so on, and there are many really good tools to do that. So you can even decide, okay, for this stream of change and action, I'm going to use the, say, policy change tracking tool that I have been given. I have many of these tools as well, as I'm sure many other evaluators and so on have. So you can also go a bit more in detail rather than just your normal reflections. The very, very final thing I would say is that to go very deep into understanding what these issues are, rather than just sitting around your table and discussing, or even some of the tools you may have for monitoring, is when you see some really interesting things coming up through your work by using this tool, you can engage internal or external evaluators and researchers to go really, really deep on a program of research around a certain issue, so that you can use this tool as a way of, I suppose, shining a light on some of the issues that you're facing so that the researchers and evaluators can go deeper. But in its essence, it's a really good planning tool, it's a really good communication tool, it's a fantastic unifying tool for people around you to understand what you think and how they think about change, and it's a really good reflection, learning and even monitoring tool.